We all know the rules of our games. Let me clarify what I mean by that. We do not necessarily all know the rules to Dungeons and Dragons. For that matter, we do not necessarily know the rules to any specific game system that we happen to be using. But you know the rules to the specific game you are playing. I may not know your game's rules. I don't play at your table. You may not know my game's rules. You don't play at my table. But even if you feel as if you're new to the tabletop role playing game you're currently playing, you know the rules just by the sheer fact that you're already playing. D&D likes may have a lot of rules or they may have very few rules, but the core concept of the game is that the people participating in the game determine the rules. You're making the game up. You're improvising. The game is whatever you decide the game to be. Each table may have different house rules, whether they officially call them house rules or not. They might even seem to go straight from the rulebook, but even the rules as written table has its gameplay quirks that are unique to that table. Ultimately, the game is meant to be broken. The rules are meant to be broken, and there's nothing in the game for which that's more true than a stat block. A stat block in a D&D-like is for breaking the rules. The purpose of the stat block is to demonstrate how that specific character or unit is breaking the rules. Take, for example, actions every character can take by default, such as disengaging or taking an attack of opportunity. You don't write those abilities on a stat block. We know those characters can do those things. In fact, you might even write that those characters cannot do those things if they cannot do those things. What a character stat block is meant to describe is how this character is different from everything else that already has the default stuff. So you might be wondering, in what ways should the rules get broken? I mean, listen to what you're saying. How do I break the rules? In any way you can think. Here are just some example ways a character can break the rules. Every round, the character gains an additional action, compounding from previous rounds. This causes the fight to get tougher with every round. When the character deals damage, they roll twice as many dice as usual and take the higher half of the results. This makes the character consistently hit very hard with every successful strike. You could make a character that just always hits with every attack. You could make a character heal the same amount of health anytime a character near it heals some amount. In this case, this effect doesn't compound on itself. This makes it so that the players have to play very aggressively. You could make the character ignore the effects of gravity. You could make the character have a second, lower value that works like armor class, but if they hit between the smaller number and the larger number with their attack roll, they deal half as much damage instead of doing nothing. Or you could make the entire fight underwater. Right? These are literally just the ideas off the top of my head. You can come up with so many more cool ideas. This video is relatively short, but one more thing I wanted to throw out there was the idea that abilities come in a few flavors: active, passive, or partially active. As an example, an action the character could take on their turn is active. A resistance to a specific type of damage is a passive. And an ability they can use as a reaction is a partially active because they can use it on a different character's turn. When determining how you want to design your character, I found that defining what category of ability it is helps determine what it's used for. And honestly, that's it. This video was less of an informational video and more of just a public service announcement. The stat block is for the purpose of breaking the rules. So when you create a really cool character and it's a really cool set of mechanics to go along with it, don't ever let a rules lawyer talk you out of it. You made the stat block specifically so that you can look at that goofball in the eye and say, for this character, these are the rules. So you're just going to have to deal with it. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.